people are skeptical of like, particularly products that are deemed as sketchy, like TikTok in some ways, right? Like they're like, oh, they're collecting my information. Everyone's collecting our information, right? So I think we have to start from that playing field of understanding your data is accessible and it is being used for multiple reasons, right? Some of it is innocuous, some of it is like purely for operational purposes, for functionality of the program or the tech, but some of it is for profit and gain, right? There's also a component that many companies use to collect data to sell to other companies, to drive their own innovation, et cetera. So you kind of have to be comfortable with understanding that if you engage in tech, you're going to have your information taken. But I mean, it is also a space that is developing more and more privacy protections. And so that's something that we hope to see more harmony in, because right now in the United States in particular, there is no real federal legislation that governs privacy across the board. There's COPPA, which is very unique and specific to children and children's protections of their privacy and private information, but there's nothing across the board that applies for all users. And so what we're seeing now is like different states are cropping up with their own sets of laws that may or may not be consistent. And that creates its own issues because you have inconsistent outcomes depending on where you live. You have different protections that individual companies have to monitor and make sure they're adhering to. And that can in its own ways stifle innovation in some ways, because you don't want to necessarily engage with certain states if you know that it's going to be highly restrictive and it's going to stop your product from being able to collect the data it needs to even function or operate, let alone become profitable. So I think that space of data collection and privacy is really interesting and growing. Like Prasan said, it's all new because these tech companies are innovating and finding new ways to challenge and collect data. And it's important, like I said, because it allows them to, one, be profitable, to understand their consumer and create products that are better designed and more personalized for you. But it also can be an encroachment on your personal space. It can subject people to consequences like fraud or identity theft, et cetera. Like there's a host of harms, but there's also a lot of benefit and good. So that, I think, is what lawmakers have to sort of keep in mind as they're developing these various laws. One, consistency between various states, and also making sure that they balance the interest between protecting the consumer and also the company's ability to thrive and be innovative.